Have you heard of this fighter jet? Its cockpit can withstand 30mm anti-aircraft shells, yet it struggles against next-generation air defense systems. It has trained 3 generations of attack aircraft pilots, yet fewer than 50 remain in active service worldwide. This is the Su-25UB White-Beaked Crow, a legendary trainer attack aircraft that emerged at the end of the Cold War and continues to fight on the front lines of the Russia-Ukraine battlefield. As we look back to the historic first flight, on August 10, 1985, this 35-year-old flying tank is using its final moments to tell the world of an era's glory and decline. In the increasingly complex contemporary air combat environment, this Cold War-era aircraft that once dominated the skies is gradually fading from public view. As the two-seat trainer variant of the Su-25 Frogfoot attack aircraft, the Su-25UB embodies the Soviet aviation industry's unique pragmatic philosophy. Back then, Soviet engineers achieved a remarkable design feat at the Ulsan-Ude airport. They successfully embedded a second cockpit inside the fuselage of the single-seat attack aircraft. Remarkably, this modification did not weaken the aircraft's combat capabilities in any way. Behind this seemingly simple modification lies 3 years of arduous research and development by the entire design team. They redesigned the fuel system piping layout, optimized the installation of avionics equipment, and even intentionally raised the installation angle of the rear instructor's seat by 15 centimeters to ensure that both front and rear pilots had sufficient forward visibility. The resulting Su-25UB combines both training and combat modes, capable of carrying up to 4.4 tons of various munitions for frontline bombing missions while allowing the instructor to provide real-time tactical guidance to trainees from the rear cockpit. This unique design philosophy fully reflects the Soviet Air Force's extreme pursuit of combat-oriented training. Pilots can transition from training to combat without changing aircraft types, achieving seamless integration on the battlefield. During the practical testing of the Afghan War, this design advantage was fully validated. New pilots directly executed combat missions under instructor guidance, rapidly developing combat capabilities in real combat scenarios, significantly shortening the combat readiness cycle. To expedite the deployment of this fighter jet to the battlefield, the 2 major aircraft manufacturing plants in Ulsan-Ude and Tbilisi operated at full capacity around the clock. During the peak production period, workers operated on a 3-shift system, with the workshop constantly echoing with the clanging of riveting guns and the roar of engine tests. According to veteran workers who participated in production at the time, during the busiest period from 1987 to 1989, the factory could produce 4 Su-25UBs per month. The total production eventually reached the astonishing figure of 200 units. However, with the dissolution of the Soviet Union in 1991, defense orders plummeted to zero, and the once busy production line fell into silence, leaving unassembled aircraft bodies to gather dust on the production line. The Su-25UB's most notable steel gene is evident in its exceptionally robust cockpit protection. This is an armored bathtub welded from 24mm thick VT20 titanium alloy, with protection extending from the bottom of the seat to the pilot's back, tightly enveloping the pilot's vital torso. The manufacturing process for this titanium alloy armor is extremely complex, requiring the use of special argon arc welding techniques. Each cockpit armor assembly consumes up to 380 meters of welding wire. It is this cost-intensive protective design that enables the cockpit to withstand direct hits from 12.7mm machine gun rounds and even 30mm anti-aircraft cannon shells. Additionally, the engine compartment is covered with thick 8mm bulletproof steel plates, and the fuel tanks are filled with special fire-resistant resin foam. This resin rapidly expands when heated, effectively blocking oxygen supply, and even if hit, it significantly delays the occurrence of an explosion. In terms of firepower configuration, the Su-25UB fully inherits the powerful firepower of the single-seat variant. The GSH-32 twin-barrel cannon mounted on the left side of the fuselage is a formidable aerial weapon, capable of firing up to 3,000 rounds per minute. The high-explosive incendiary rounds it fires can easily penetrate most ground targets. Notably, the mounting angle of this cannon has been specially adjusted, tilted downward by 3 degrees, allowing the pilot to achieve a more natural aiming posture during dive attacks. In addition to the fixed cannon, it features 10 external hardpoints capable of carrying a variety of weapons, ranging from 57mm rocket pods to Kh-25 laser-guided bombs. On the Afghan battlefield, the Su-25UB frequently operates in 2 aircraft formations, using its cannon and rockets to precisely clear out guerrilla bunkers and mountain valleys, earning it the affectionate nickname Air Guardian from ground troops. However, times have changed. According to the latest data from Military Balance 2024, the global active service count of the Su-25UB has plummeted to a dangerously low level. The Russian aerospace forces currently have only 15 remaining, most deployed in the southern military district. Ukraine has only 6-8, still conducting low-altitude raids on the front lines. Among them, in March 2025, a retired pilot returned to the cockpit to avenge his fallen son, piloting the familiar Su-25UB. This tragic story became the final chapter of this aircraft on the modern battlefield. Belarus retains 2 Su-25UBs painted with the iconic Raven's Eye pattern, while Kazakhstan's 2 aircraft frequently carry auxiliary fuel tanks during training, with their fuselage numbers painted in a striking bright yellow. The quickest way to identify a Su-25UB is by the color of its fuselage number. Russia uses red, Ukraine prefers blue, and Kazakhstan opts for yellow. However, the most distinctive feature is Belarus paint scheme. The intake ducts are adorned with wide-eyed deterrent eyes and cartoon ravens. This design draws inspiration from the Afghan war era, when pilots believed that such eye patterns could instill psychological fear in enemies by making them feel targeted. In stark contrast is the Ukrainian Air Force's shark mouth paint scheme. When the Su-25UB, loaded with rocket pods, flies over wheat fields, the sharp fangs on its nose make it resemble a predator lying in wait. These paint schemes are not only national identifiers, but have also become visual symbols of battlefield heritage. On the brutal Chechen battlefield, the Su-25UB demonstrated remarkable survivability. Records show that Rebel Stinger missiles struck its fuselage multiple times, but the sturdy titanium alloy armor successfully withstood the explosive fragments, allowing the pilot to safely return to base despite injuries. However, on the Russia-Ukraine battlefield in 2025, the Su-25UB's weaknesses were exposed, facing the enemy's dense anti-aircraft missiles and the strict surveillance of early warning aircraft. Its signature low-altitude penetration tactics were almost equivalent to suicide. In this conflict, the Russian military lost over 30 Su-25UBs, while the Ukrainian military's remaining 8 aircraft could only rely on French-supplied OSM-guided bombs for long-range attacks to avoid close combat with the enemy. To adapt to modern warfare requirements, the Su-25UB also attempted to undergo a transformation. Russia modified some of the aircraft into Su-25UTG carrier-based trainer aircraft, reinforcing the landing gear and installing arresting hooks, and conducted takeoff and landing training on the Kuznetsov aircraft carrier. China purchased one Su-25UB from Ukraine in 2007, focusing on studying its advanced armor design and protective concepts. The relevant technological achievements may have been applied to the improvement of domestically produced attack aircraft. However, more countries have chosen to simply store them away in porous hangars. 6 Su-25UBs lie quietly under dust covers, with dust accumulated on their instrument panels, as if narrating the end of an era. This once glorious flying classroom may eventually face retirement, but its titanium alloy cockpit capable of withstanding anti-aircraft artillery shells, its intelligent 2-seat design, and the legendary stories it wrote in the skies of the Cold War, will forever be etched into the annals of aviation history. When the last Su-25UB completes its final landing, we will lose not just an aircraft, but an entire aviation era defined by steel resolve.